Alive with love. I relax into the healing process. I allow spirit to do what it does. Joy fills every cell in my body. Every cell is alive with love. I relax into the healing process. I allow spirit to do what it does. Joy fills every cell in my body. Every cell is alive with love. I relax into the healing process. I allow spirit to do what it does. Peace fills every cell in my body. Every cell is alive with love. I relax into the healing process. I allow spirit to do what it does. God fills every cell in my body. Every cell is alive with love. I relax into the healing process. I allow spirit to do what it does. God fills every cell in my body. Every cell is alive with love. I relax into the healing process. I allow spirit to do what it does. Joy fills every cell in my body. Every cell is alive with love. I relax into the healing process. I allow spirit to do what it does. Joy fills every cell in my body. Every cell is alive with love. I relax into the healing process. I allow spirit to do what it does. Joy fills every cell in my body. Every cell is alive with love. I relax into the healing process. I allow spirit to do what it does.
All healing energy flows through me now. Harmony, balance, vitality, that glorious wisdom that creates and sustains health is mine. I live in
Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Syracuse this morning on this gorgeous fall day. We're glad that you're here this morning. My name is Sibby Morrow, and it is my joy to be your platform assistant this morning. Get my mask off my wrist here for a moment. Okay. And so I welcome everyone who's here present. It's great to see faces and smiles. I can tell you're smiling. Don't worry, I know how to read eyes. And I welcome everyone else that's on Love Streaming land and joining us there. So we're in phase one of our reopening, and that means that we are having a service. We do require that you wear a mask indoors, but there's no fellowship afterwards except outside. So it's a lovely day, and if you'd like to linger and touch base with some of your friends, that's a good way to do it, outside in the fresh air. So we always begin our service with the reading of the daily word. And so just take a moment now to take a breath and let go of all that it took to get here this morning. And just be here now. Today's word is joy. Joy. A growing awareness of God's presence is my greatest joy. Awakening from a restful sleep, I give thanks for the new day and all the people who will be part of it. Although I cannot know what will happen as the day unfolds, I remind myself that everything and everyone might lead me to a deeper awareness of God. This growing awareness is my greatest joy. Even if the day includes less than happy experiences, I will know the quiet joy and comforting strength of the peaceful presence of God that is always with me. I will rejoice today in being alive, able to think, to feel, to appreciate the sights, sounds, and aromas that will fill my experience. I will discover joy anew as I recognize each person I meet today as a unique expression of the wonder of God. And from Psalm 118, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. A growing awareness of God's presence is my greatest joy. And so as I reflected on joy this morning, and I was thinking that typically we think something out there brings us joy, but as these words imply, there's a joy that's within us. And as I was reading that, as I wake today and being alive and able to think and feel, I was reminded of it's called a gatha, that is a Buddhist mindfulness practice. And I learned this one years ago. Waking up, as you wake up in the morning, waking up this morning, I smile, knowing there are 24 brand new hours before me. I vow to live each moment fully and look at all beings with the eyes of compassion. Isn't that a beautiful way to start the day? And so it's just a reminder of the joy that can come forth when we choose to see with those eyes of spirit. Marshall Rosenberg, who started the nonviolent communication model, he said often when he's passed away, but when he was speaking, he would always ask the audience, what did you do in the last 24 hours, give or take, that helped to make someone's life more wonderful? And people always had answers. And then he'd say, and how did that make you feel? And it was always the same, joyful. People felt joyful when they were in service to others. And just being yourself can bring joy. And so as I was thinking of the things lately that have brought me joy, besides nature and my family, etc., I was reminded this morning of seeing Crash on FaceTime and giving that little talk from the porch on your field trip. So it brought me such joy. And so there's such joy when we see children and nature and so on. So just as you scan the day, let whatever is out there, it's our thoughts that keep us out of joy. Let your thoughts be taken by something outside you, and see if you can feel that exhilaration within. So, and speaking of children, we are still having our children's church online. So it's at 10 on Sunday morning. So thank you to our YFM team that continues to hold that space for our wonderful children. I do have a few announcements. So hopefully you get the announcements on the online bulletin. And so please check that for some further details. Social justice group meets today online, and the link is on our bulletin or on our website. It's at 1 o'clock. And there's an announcement that the Alliance of Communities Transforming Syracuse, better known as ACTS, is hosting an ongoing monthly online Race Matters book club. So if you're interested in that, they're meeting October 25th at 7 p.m. to discuss the book, My Grandmother's Hands, Racialized Trauma and the Pathway to Mending Our Hearts and Bodies. And it tells how neuroscience and body-centered psychology can help in healing the wounds of racism. You do need to register, and you can find the link on our bulletin. So it sounds like a very interesting and important step for our community. Online class with our Unity teacher, Robert Brummett, who is also a practicing Buddhist and a Unity minister and has written many books that we have used here in Syracuse. He will be online giving a class October 16th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and registration is required. And you can check the unity.org for that information. And our youth and family ministry is doing a couple of fundraisers. One is that there is a table back there with some keychains on it, and they say Unity on the keychains. And so thank you to Bridget Walling and Dana B. for making these keychains. I do want to suggest that if you do buy one, and if you have keys to this church, do not put that tag on the thing. I had my keys taken from my car, and I was very grateful that it did not say Unity on the keychain when they were taken. So please be mindful of that. We're also collecting, of course, our refundable bottles, and thank you to Patty O for helping us return them to the Resource Center. And if you would like to just return your bottles and then give the money here, you could just put it in the collection or send it in, designating that it's for YFM, and thank you for that. So drink up, people. Okay. October 17th, next week, Stacy, is a very important day for our youth and family ministry. There's a field trip planned, and the field trip, there will be no 10 o'clock Zoom class. The field trip will meet here at 10:45, and the children are going to walk over to Webster's Pond, which has really come a long way. They can have a walk all the way around the pond now and feed the ducks the corn, etc. And then after that, they're going to walk to Gannon's for some wonderful ice cream. So it may be your last ice cream outing of the year, so don't miss it. And adults are welcome too. So our town hall meeting that we have once a month is next week at 1 o'clock after our service. And the board of directors are meeting this Thursday at 7 p.m. So that's all for the announcements, and I would like to welcome anyone who's visiting us for the very first time today. Anybody here visiting for the first time? Welcome. We have a gift for you and a welcome packet and a candle that represents that light within you. And so let it be a reminder, excuse me, of that light that shines always within your heart. And so, excuse me. And I want to welcome anyone else joining us on Love Streaming Land, that if you're joining us for the very first time, we hope that you'll tune in again. So now we can stand and greet each other, first saying our statement of being as we say together. Oh, sorry. First we bow to each other, out of order. First we have that bowing and just sending that extension of love from one heart to another throughout this room and to those watching. Thank you. And now we can read together our statement. God is all, both visible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And so it is. All right. And now you may be seated, all you perfect expressions of divine energy. So unity has 5 basic principles. And these are the principles on the board. And God is the source and center of all. God is good and present everywhere. We are spiritual beings created in God's image. We create our life experiences through our way of thinking. There is power in affirmative prayer. We live these spiritual principles. And so as you allow these principles to inform your life, you may notice how they show up. And so is there someone here this morning that would like to share an experience of how these principles have shown up for you in the recent past? Well, I'll share one. So I'm going to say there's power in affirmative prayer, and that God is the source of good, and good is present everywhere. And so I'm happy to report that I'm going to become a grandmother for the second time in November, and my daughter-in-law, just 5 short months after she and my son were married, was diagnosed with breast cancer. And it is no small matter that she is now going to have, 3 years later, is pregnant and going to have their first child together. And so I just know throughout that entire experience, trusting that good is present everywhere, and trusting that everything comes to pass, and with every seeming obstacle or negative experience, there is a blessing. And I could enumerate the blessings that came out of all of that year, those years of treatment and so on. But here is the ultimate blessing, to know that, Aaron is going to have a baby, and it's just life reaffirming itself. And so I am in such gratitude. So, is there anyone else that has something to share? I know you all do, but you're just too shy to say it. That's okay. Yes, Mary. Wait. We gotta, with your mask, get it right up close.
So I had this experience this morning, the past couple of days, in helping people that I do not know in my neighborhood, and wondering if it was okay, and leaving it alone. It was okay. I was safe doing what I did. But this morning I went for a walk, and there was a postman going around. And he got lost, and he said, you think that's that address? I said, I don't know, but I'll run up into the driveway and find it for you. Sure enough, I came back. It was the right address. The gift that I received from both these people were telling me how kind I was. What a gift to be able to just go out of my way and do something. And to me, that's the spiritual call of kindness. And he just said something really nice back to me, and I just beamed for the day. I was beaming anyways, but what a gift, to help somebody. And I said, kindness begets kindness.
It does. Thank you,
And
Mary.
he was so thrilled because he was lost, and so was the other guy that I took in the woods. And he said, don't ever take anybody in the woods. I go, that's okay, I'm back.
Thank you, Mary. And that just really demonstrates our word for the day, joy. That joy, in giving is joy of receiving as well. So thank you so much. And now we'll bring forth the prayer box. So I am the prayer chaplain serving after the service, but Stacy is going to, as prayer chaplain, going to pray with me over the prayers in the box. So those prayer intentions have been placed in the box by you, or they're on your heart. And so we know that there is no space or separation in spirit. And so whatever you hold in your mind or heart as your prayer intention today is already heard. And so we know that unity was founded on prayer. And silent unity has been praying continuously for more than 130 years. That's 24/7 for 130 years. That is a lot of prayer energy, and it continues. And so we know that if you do write something in this prayer box, we hold it here for 30 days and pray with it, and then we hold it in confidence. And when they say that means we don't look at it, we don't look at it so that we don't go in the human direction of fear or worry or concern over someone. We stay in the pure positive energy of knowing that God's work and will is moving in and through each and every prayer. So, make my way down. Yeah. Thank you, Stacy.
As we just sit in that stillness and move into our heart space, together we pray, Mother, Father, Divine and Infinite Spirit, we hold all that we love in prayer. Through that power of zeal, that life force, we send out love and strength to those we know who need healing. We hold their names in our hearts. Let us think on those in our community that also need that life energy. We send them peace, wisdom, faith. And this weekend, we also hold in our hearts our Indigenous neighbors, all of those First Peoples across all of North America and beyond. Let us celebrate their communities, their cultures, their connection to this earth. We know that all are sacred and all moves in love and in life. And so it is. Amen.
And so now, we have any music that we're going to have, Leland, or
Get ready,
get ready, and get ready for
my soul.
as we just allow this song to sort of
I'm
seep
diving
into us. It's a beautiful song,
Get
and
ready,
our precious Natalie is going to be our
my soul.
lesson giver this morning, and so we look forward and open our minds
I'm
and hearts
diving in
to her message this
to
morning.
the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here. to the present moment here, to a new beginning here. And I'm seeing life so clearly now. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. 'Cause here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul.
Morning, everybody. Thank you, Sibby. Well, first, before I begin, I'd like just to recognize that Unity of Syracuse sits on Onondaga Nation land, and being an Indigenous Peoples Day, I just wanted to honor our neighbors that are right down the street. And synchronistic enough, Onondaga Nation is known as the keepers of the fire of the Six Nations of the Haudenosaunee, and so I just thought that was right in line with my talk today, entering into the fire, and I really appreciate the brave souls that have come here today in person, and also those on our live stream. I see Ellen and Sally checking in, and Mama B, and Kathleen Ross, and Aretha, and Betty Kitt, and the Dana B, and Reverend Jeffrey, and then Nancy, Patrick West, and I'm so excited that you guys are here with me today. So as Sibby so beautifully last week introduced us to October's Power of the Month, Zeal, I wanted to further our discussion about it and kind of put my own little spin on it in a way. So in Charles Fillmore's book, he was the co-founder of Unity, as we know, with his wife, Myrtle. In his book, The Revealing Word, he describes zeal as follows: intensity, adore, enthusiasm, the inward fire of the soul that urges man onward, regardless of the intellectual mind of caution. Zeal is the mighty force that incites the winds, the tides, the storms. It urges the planet on its course and spurs the ants to greater exertion. It is the urge behind all things. Zeal is the affirmative impulse of existence. Its command is go forward. So remarkable things can be accomplished, and they will with zeal. And the power of zeal to me is that fire deep within me, deep within us, that pushes us forward. And so zeal being the power of transformation for me, how the fire of zeal motivates me regardless of if I'm ready or wanting to change or not. And I don't really have a choice in this. I guess it's just happening, and I need to get on board. And how this process changes me, and how fire has the ability to transmute energy. And so I wanted to speak about what fire means according to Charles Fillmore in his book, The Revealing Word. So fire is described as cleansing and purification, but is more than a symbol. Material fire is the symbol, and the fire of the Spirit is the reality. The whole universe is alive with a divine, living, spiritual energy that consumes all the dross of sense and materiality. It is the fire that burns eternally. So like I said before, fire transmutes energy, and as a chemistry minor in college, I love science, and I love the natural world, and I love experiments, and I love playing with fire. And so we use fire such as to purify. If we have some ore here and we put that in fire, and the impurities will rise to the surface or sink to the bottom, and then they're skimmed off and removed, and what we have is a pure substance. And so how the spiritual fire in my life burns away what isn't meant for me, and how the impurities are brought up to the surface to be removed. And I think that we are in a fire right now, at least I am. And so whether these are memories that are surfacing, or people and relationships, or maybe it's releasing a job, or that self-inner chatter that is destructive. Can you think of something that might be bubbling up to the surface in your life so it can be released? Bubbling up to the surface so it can be healed? So I encourage you to enter into the fire and go forward. And so we all remember that Bible story of Moses, and I'm by any means not a Bible scholar, and so I imagine there's people here in this audience that can recite the Bible way better than I can. But so what I remember from Moses and the burning bush is that he came upon this bush that was engulfed in flames, and then he heard the voice of God speak to him and telling him to lead people from one area to the other area, and how Moses was just struck by self-doubt and how can I do this? They're not going to listen to me. And, he had a million excuses not to do what he needed to do. And so how often I can relate to that story, and how often do I doubt myself, and how often do we doubt ourselves or second-guess ourselves, and how often do I say this is too much for me to bear? So I've been having a Moses moment. And so there's a great resource on the internet that is truthunity.net, and it sells a lot of the metaphysical meanings. And so I wanted to read you what the metaphysical meaning of the burning bush story represents. So the angel of Jehovah, the flame of fire, and the bush are all within the consciousness of man. The bush is a nerve center through which the universal life energy runs like electricity over a wire, making a light but not consuming it. In mental activity, there is a vibratory process that uses up nerve tissue, but in the wisdom that comes from the heart, this bush or tissue is not consumed. The light of intuition or flame of fire burns in the heart, yet there is no loss of substance. Man is at first attracted by the phenomenal side of spiritual things, and then when he gives his attention for the purpose of knowing the cause, the Lord reveals himself. When Moses began to investigate, he found that he was on holy ground, and the forces of spirit at the center of man's body are so intense that the outer consciousness cannot stand the current and hold itself together. How I can so relate to that. Absolutely pure in essence, this inner fire must be approached by pure spiritual thought. So again, using that fire for purification. And removing the shoes is symbolic of taking from the understanding of material concepts. Divine life, spiritual fire, does not consume, it purifies and renews substance. So purifying and renewing substance, that sounds a lot like what I'm going through today. And this fire that I'm in, burning what isn't meant for me and releasing it so I can be renewed and start again. See, entering into the fire is necessary. I encourage you to enter into your fire. It is a powerful element like wind and water. And fire burns and destroys, and although uncomfortable, sad, and scary, what is left is fertile ground for renewal, a fertile ground to begin again, a fertile ground to move forward. So entering into this fire is necessary for spiritual evolution, for personal transformation, and to raise our consciousness, because this process changes us. And I know this might not be the work for everybody, and I'm more of a spiritual warrior type person, and I know that may not resonate with everybody, and that's perfectly okay. But I encourage you to find your role and your purpose and play your part in that role. And how this deep inner work is actually transforming the world. It's unity principle number 3, showing up in action and transforming myself through my thoughts and words. I'm transforming the world. And so this leads me to talk about attending the Eastern Region Fall Conference the last week in September, and I'm so grateful for Unity of Syracuse for sponsoring me in this. I also wanted to mention that Ken Walling gave the opening meditation Sunday afternoon, and it was a beautiful meditation. I just wanted to honor him in that because I really enjoyed it. But during conference, a keynote speaker on Tuesday night was a woman named Valerie Carr. Some of you might have heard about her, others maybe have not, but she is a lawyer, an activist, a mother, a wife, a Sikh, a person of color, and the founder of the Revolutionary Love Project. And in her book, See No Stranger, which I highly recommend, I wanted to read from it. This is her book, and I wanted to show you guys something really cool, but I just need a couple moments to get set up here. I don't know if you'll be able to see this on the live stream, but you'll be able to hear it. So just bear with me for 1 second because this is really cool. And she showed us during conference, and I was just so blown away by it. All right, so this is her book right here. I put my phone to her book. Hold on, I gotta turn up the volume here. All right, and watch this, guys. Watch this. Of course, it's not gonna want to work. Hold on, it gets better, I promise.
Revolutionary love is the call of our times. Revolutionary love is when we are brave enough to see no stranger, to look at anyone and think, you are a part of me I do not yet know. So when we flood the streets in our grief and our rage and fight for justice and insist on the humanity of our opponents, we are birthing the world to come, a world that leaves no one behind.
Pretty cool, huh? It's like Harry Potter-esque. And, we are living in the 21st century, and, William Shatner is going to space this week. So, if that's not a sign of zeal, I don't know what is at the ripe age of 90. But it's pretty incredible what technology can advance us to do for good. And so reading from her book, this book is for anybody who feels breathless. Maybe moving through the world in your body is enough to make you feel constricted in your chest. Maybe you're holding someone close to you who is struggling and suffering. Maybe you are reeling from the latest mass shooting or the refugee crisis at the border or the looming threat of climate change or the blistering pace of this global pandemic. Maybe, like me, you are breathless. From all the above, I thought my breathlessness was a sign of my weakness until a wise friend told me what I wish to tell you. Your breathlessness is a sign of your bravery. It means you are awake to what's happening right now. The world is in transition. And so she continues, revolutionary love is a call of our times. I'm talking about love as a labor, a conscious, embodied practice. Social reformers and spiritual teachers throughout history led entire nonviolent movements anchored in the ethics of love. Time and time again, people gave their bodies and breath for one another, not only in the face of fire hoses and firing squads, but also in the quieter venues of their daily lives. Black feminists like Bell Hooks have long envisioned a world where the love ethic is a foundation for all arenas of our society. I was so inspired by Valerie, obviously, and so she continues, "It's a time to reclaim love as a force of justice." Love as a form of justice. I can get down with that. And she continues, "Here is my offering. Love is a form of sweet labor, fierce, bloody, imperfect, and life-giving, a choice we make over and over again. Love as labor can be taught, modeled, and practiced. This labor engages all our emotions. Joy is the gift of love. Grief is the price of love. Anger protects that which is loved. And when we think we have reached our limit, wonder is the act that returns us back to love. Revolutionary love is the choice to labor for others, for our opponents, and for ourselves in order to transform the world around us. And it begins with wonder. You are a part of me that I do not yet know." So Valerie inspired me to enter into this labor, or like I like to say, enter into this fire. And how do we love others? We are so interconnected and interdependent on each other. I forget that all the time. And we need each other to survive, just like we need the earth, our natural world, in order for us to survive. And our neighbors right down the road at Onondaga Nation have taught me the interconnectedness of our world and nature, and how nothing is lost and everything is in a constant flow, rebalancing itself. So Valerie states that our minds are programmed to divide instantly, see the world as us versus them. She continues, what determines who is them is who we don't have empathy for, or who we have no compassion for, or who we aren't standing up for. She is encouraging us to see no stranger, because we belong to each other. We are part of one another. And in these pews, our brothers and our sisters are sitting right with us. And on the boundaries of this church are also our brothers and sisters walking the streets and living in homes and maybe even homeless. But I encourage you to start seeing people as our brothers and sisters. Build that empathy, build that compassion. And Valerie suggests 3 different techniques in order to do this work of seeing no stranger. And the first one is called tending the wound. And she quotes that there are no monsters out in the world, there are only people with wounded hearts. And so whether or not our hearts are broken, we first need to find safe places and safe people to tend to our broken hearts. We need to ask our hearts, what can I do to hear you more fully? What do you need? Have you ever taken a moment and asked your heart what it truly needs? Have you ever told your heart that you love it? And so I'd like just to take a moment just to maybe soften our gaze or close our eyes and just bow to your heart center and feel that love from your heart. And ask your heart, what does it need? Tell your heart, I love you. And just let arise whatever is there without judgment. What can I do to hear you more fully? What do you truly need? And so whatever answer, and maybe even there's no answer right now, but just allow the answer to come, because it will. So in tending this wound, we are creating space for healing. And when we are ready, however that may look, no rush in all time, and everybody's in their own personal process here, we now have created space deep within our hearts to listen to not only our story, but the story of another. Maybe the story of our opponents. Maybe the story of someone else besides us. So these are Valerie's words. Seeing their humanity is how we love them. And so if we can see our brothers and sisters as humans, just like us, I think that we will create more compassion, and the revolutionary love that Valerie Carr talks about will will become more in our reality. So the next step in this process of a revolutionary love, she states in her book, is loving ourselves. And you might think that tending the wound and loving ourselves go hand in hand, and they do. But in order to have the capacity to reach each other, we first need to make sure that we're pouring into our hearts and loving ourselves. And so pouring into our hearts, like the midwife tells the woman in labor, breathe and push. And shout out to all the females that are pregnant out there. And shout out to all the midwives that are supporting these people in breathing and pushing. And this is not just a one-time thing. You breathe and push, and you breathe and push. And in doing this work, you are in transforming your hearts and your mind, creating more space to empathize with one another, and creating space to see one another and to listen, to belong to one another. And so doing this deep personal work, we create communities that care. Here at Unity of Syracuse, this is a community that cares. And even in the Valley, there's communities that care here. And in the greater Syracuse area, there are communities that care. And so I represent Unity on the Interfaith Roundtable group, and it's such an honor and a pleasure to be a part of this group. And sometimes I'm wondering, what am I doing here? But I'm there, and I cherish every moment I have with this group, and they've really propelled me into my own space of self-discovery. And so through this group, I am involved in their Community Campaign for Love initiative. Some of you might have seen the billboard that's right on West Street and Fayette. That was a couple years ago that picture was taken, but the Community Campaign for Love. And they sponsor food pantries and distribute food locally. And what I'm a part of is the community garden that is behind a church on the south side. And shout out to Reverend Max for allowing us to grow food behind his church. And we're not only growing food, but we're also growing a community there. And so what an amazing time with an amazing community here to practice revolutionary love, to practice communities that care, and to tend to our wounds, and to love ourselves, and to breathe and to push through the fire that we might be facing. And so how the power of the month and zeal and revolutionary love are all linked together. How the fire of zeal sparks revolutionary love. Zeal is the power of transformation, and how the fire of zeal motivates me regardless of if I want to be changed or not. It's happening. So this urge for revolutionary love is stepping out and seeing no stranger, embracing, you are a part of me I do not yet know. Encouraging us to do the deep inner work to see ourselves in all, even our opponents. So recently, I gave a talk in June. I feel like I was in a very similar space where I was just in this lion's den of fire and feeling really resistant to it, and how it's terrifying and scary, and I don't really know where I'm going or what I'm doing, but I'm just trying to stay in my comfort zone, but I'm being pushed out of my comfort zone, and being unwilling to change, and not really wanting to or liking it, and just wanting to protect myself, even though that might be an old story and an old tape that I tell myself. But I think, maybe that's not very Unity-like, but maybe it also is, and that messiness of life, and here I'm laying down in my mud and rolling around in it, and it's uncomfortable. And to enter into this fire of personal development, evolving consciousness is tough. And to be aware of the feelings that are present, the fear, the doubt, the realization that, wow, I'm really uncomfortable here. My heart feels pretty broken and is very tender, not just from the experiences in my personal life, but what I see out in the world. And as a sensitive, empathic, intuitive person, my gift is I feel. And so I try not to internalize a lot of things, but it's hard for me not to. And I have a lot of practices of cleansing that I do daily. So in not knowing the future, how it will affect me, I practice staying in the moment and stepping into the flow, and realizing that the feelings that I'm having are almost taking me away from the flow. And so first tending to my own wounds and tending to my own feelings and asking my heart what it needs, so that I can stay into the flow. And I take a deep breath. I'm releasing what I don't have to know. I'm releasing that need of trying to figure out or controlling it, because I really don't know. I'm making up stories, and how often do we make up stories to justify, to comfort ourselves, to control? And so it's a process. And seeing myself in this process helps me light my load a little less. Witnessing myself as a sacred, loving, sensitive, gentle being allows me to care for myself more tenderly. So I embrace my feelings, I have faith, I nurture myself through daily walks in nature. Sometimes even taking that moment to watch a leaf circle its way down from a branch and wait till it hits the ground, which I love to do. So taking a deep breath and entering into the fire, as Valerie Carr suggests, breathing and pushing. Moses was in the fire of self-doubt, Valerie Carr in the fire of revolutionary love, and I'm in the fire of transformation, and how all these experiences are pushing us forward, urging us to act, to go on, to go forward. So see, entering into the fire is necessary. It's no easy task, people, but I assure you, you are brave, you are courageous to go on and to go forward. So whatever that fire may be for you today, maybe that fire is saying no when you really want to. Maybe that fire is having that uncomfortable conversation with an opponent. Maybe that fire is speaking out when you need to. Maybe that fire is acting even when it is scary. Maybe that fire is admitting you were wrong. Maybe that fire is resisting change. Maybe that fire is saying, I'm sorry. Maybe that fire is saying, I love you. Maybe that fire is saying goodbye to someone or to something. Maybe that fire is clearing out that stuffed closet. I mean, it doesn't have to be very dramatic here. Maybe that fire is saying yes. Maybe that fire is stepping forward. Maybe that fire is releasing self-doubt. Maybe that fire is revolutionary love. So embrace this fire, for it will move you, purify you, renew you, and it will truly transform you. And so just like the Daily Word says today, let me grab it real quick. Sorry about that. I will rejoice today in being alive, able to think, to feel, to appreciate the the sights, sounds, and aroma that fill my environment. I will discover joy anew as I recognize each person I meet today as a unique expression of the wonder of God. And so seeing no stranger and seeing the wonder of God in everybody and in everywhere. So that is my invitation for you today, is to see God out there and see no stranger and do the work that you need to do to be able to say, you are a part of me I do not yet know. And so before I lead a meditation, I'd like this song to be played that was actually written for Valerie Carr's Revolutionary Love Project, and it's by Buffalo's own Ani DeFranco, and it's titled Revolutionary Love.
And I will try to understand. And if you give me your story, I will hold it in my hands, and I will bring the love, the revolutionary love. I will bring the love. No, you can't make me hate you and carry that hate around. Oh, I see no stranger, only parts of myself, don't you know? Yes, and I'll see right through evil. Too bold, too scared to show. I have the power to stay open. Yes, I have the power to be the one who I've been waiting for. Yes, the one who sets me free. Yes, I can bring the love, the revolutionary love. I can bring the love, the revolutionary love. I can bring the love, the revolutionary love, the revolutionary love. Yes, I could bring the love, oh, the revolutionary love. I could bring the love, oh, the revolutionary love. I could bring the love, the revolutionary love, the revolutionary love.
So let's just soften our gaze or close our eyes if that's comfortable. And just allow ourselves to breathe and enter into a meditative state. So as you take a nice deep breath in, and just honor your heart. Feel that heart center source deep within your soul. And as you take another deep breath in, you allow yourself that presence of God to enter into that stillness. And in this stillness, we see no stranger. And in this stillness, we say, you are a part of me I yet do not know. And as we allow ourselves to be curious and wonder, what is that actually separates us? Is there anything that really separates us here? Or is that a delusion? And so as we take another deep breath in, we feel that connection. We feel that connection to our heart, to our mind, to our bodies. We feel that connection to the pews and to this physical building. And we feel that connection to the natural world around us, the air, the sun, the sky, the earth, and how that connection sustains us and allows us to transform. And we have the power to transform instantly if we choose to. And so taking another deep breath and entering into that fire, entering into your own personal transformation so that we collectively can heal the world by healing our wounds, by healing our hearts, by seeing each other as humanity, by not seeing no stranger. You are a part of me I yet do not know. And so as we just allow silence to fill the room, it's not the absence of spirit, but the presence of love. Feel that connection. Feel that urge to go forward. Feel that power of zeal to transform. Feel that. Honor that. Nurture that. And be that. You are a part of me I do not yet know. And so, as we start to come back from this meditative state, ever so gently maybe wiggle your fingers or roll your neck. Just be gentle and tender with yourselves in this space. So I invite you to see no stranger. I invite you to look at each other and say, you are part of me I do not yet know. And do the work you need to do to transform your lives. So thank you, everybody. Namaste. So I'll move over here, and we have the mission statement. So together, can we say this? Unity of Syracuse inspires, awakens, and transforms lives through unlimited love, prayer, and service. And next is our love offering and tithes. So if you all want to place that in your hand and just honor the giver and the receiver, and knowing that this is precious work of transformation and allowing our community continue to serve each other and the community around us. And so let's say the love offering blessing, please. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. You are my source. Thank you. She is a lawyer and activist.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
Come down. So here's my love offering. So let's rub our hands together. I always like that practice and really feel energized in what we're giving and what we're receiving, and because giving and receiving are the same. And so as we just bless all the love offering and the tithes and the talents and the treasures that our community shares with each other, and in this community at Unity of Syracuse, but also in our greater community of Syracuse and Onondaga Nation and Onondaga County, and that even spreads out into the whole New York State. And so how we're transforming here at Unity of Syracuse, and it's transforming our world around us. So we appreciate all the givers and all the receivers, for it is one. Amen. So the children's blessing and affirmation, we can say this together. And thank you for the children that are in here. It's great to see Crash and Curtis. We bless our children wherever they are. We see them surrounded by love and light throughout the week. We have a thriving and edifying youth and family ministry. And up the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love. The power of God protects us. We are the power. And the presence of God watches over us. We are the presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And the peace song. Yeah, sure. Who wants to start? Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week.